Okay, we're in the car. The first thing to do is take off this fascia, and to do that there's just 4 clips. So we've got to somehow pull this off, and what this is, use some little trim removal tools, and then just be careful of the wires on the switches. I've lowered the steering wheel to try and get in there. Ah, there. Oh, just got a little bit of movement on it there. Oh, so the top one's moving a little bit. You can see it's solid. So I'm going to get to the bottom one now. Steering wheel back up. Can't be far off because that top one. Ah, now we're motoring. Just work our way around and see if we can get it off. Just do a bit of pressure off with the fingers. And that wire's come out the switches already, look. But those 2 wires have pulled out. Right, got a bit more light so you can see a bit better. So we've got the surround off, the 2 wires have come off. Let's got to undo that one, which I think is just a little push tab. Oh, just pulls out. That's where safe. And now we've just got 4 screws to take out. I'll show you on this camera. 1, 2, 3 and 4, and the whole thing should just pull out. Okay, so 4 screws, hold this in place. And we just want to put these 4 screws somewhere safe. Don't lose these. That's right. That's how it should be. Let's see what was holding it back. Alright, I think it was just caught on that thing there. There's a little locating hole at the back there. If you can see that circle, I think that was just catching on it. Just start unplugging them all now. Right, I've just snipped off that wire which was on the back there, which means I can pull this out. So I've got a bit more play. I could even disconnect this cable, this plug, sorry. The little pushy thing. Alright, that's better, isn't it? It's a shame you can't buy that plug so I can keep this all intact rather than cutting and soldering the new plug in. Okay, so just before I started cutting the wires to fit the new unit, I thought I'd quickly try it, see what it looks like. However, it doesn't fit. It's a little bit too high and a little bit too wide. It's not going to fit that way. So that doesn't fit. Standard in size, but this one, it's just got a little cutaway around the outside which makes it just fit nice and flush. So I'm kind of snookered. I'll try and mount this further back into the dashboard, and then this will push up against it rather than over it, which might be okay as long as I don't lose the functionality of those keys on the side. So that's what we'll try and do first. I'm certainly not going to cut away any of it, and I'm certainly not going to cut away any of the trim. So as you can see, I've had to cut away the bracket quite a lot to make it fit. There's a lot off the side. I've had to slot these screws and file down the heads of the screws so it fits in. So there's been quite a bit of bracket adjustment. Now that should slide in, and there we go, it's in. So we fit it into place with just a couple of screws when we push the trim on, but remember how difficult it was when we put it in. So I'm just going to take these clips off for now, so we're not struggling too much. Get those wires out of the way without losing them totally. And that's just going to push on there. And to be honest, I don't really want to push that one in, but no. It doesn't look too bad. I'll just show you. The fit is quite good, and I can still touch those buttons. So, I obviously haven't pushed that in yet. I think we're going to be okay. Right, so we'll take this off, and next I suppose is the wiring. Okay, so I've come up with this little chart explaining the colour codes for the original equipment Alpine unit, the Evora harness, and the probably now standard aftermarket harness. And as you can see, the Lotus Evora doesn't match anything. It'd be nice if the colours just went straight through, all the same. As you can see, the only one that is the same is the earth ground one, which is black all the way through, and the speaker wires. Two of the most important ones are probably the red ignition one, which is also red on the new colour code, but for some reason Lotus decided to use pink and green for a colour, and the positive battery, which is always live, which is a yellow, which is also yellow on the new standard maybe. For some reason Lotus used a purple colour, but they're pretty much what they are. The new system's got two new wires which we're not going to use because we have no steering wheel controls to connect up to. So we're going to cut them, join that plug to the new wiring plug. How we join them is there's a few options. You could be really careful and use a chocolate block. It takes a lot of space, it's a bit untidy really. Or you could use these newfangled heat shrink stroke solder all-in-one things, which are actually a good idea, and I have used them before, but they're not totally brilliant. Or you can just do the old-fashioned soldering iron and solder with a normal heat shrink over the top. And I think that's what I'm going to do. And now we're just going to cut them, which is the horrible bit, but somewhere in the middle. So that's the original unit. I'll stick that back into the back of the unit just to keep it nice and safe. But what we've got left with now is lots of wires. We shall just trim the ends off and start soldering. Okay, join me sometime later when the wires are all soldered, heat shrunk, and I've done a bit of colour coding. There's a few wires which I'm not sure about, which I've connected. One is the reversing camera, which I've connected up to a green original and a pink new. I've also got this, which there's no instructions what the yellow wires are. That could be the reversing camera. No. There's the reversing camera anyway, I know that. There's a handbrake on the original loom, nothing on the new loom, so I'm just going to put that to earth. There's a Bluetooth mute on the original, nothing on the new, so I'm just going to leave that. I've connected the sub amp to a sub power, should do it. And then we've got all these 4-no plugs. As far as the new loom is concerned, there's 2 wires I haven't connected up, and that's key 1 and key 2, which I think are just steering wheel controls, and some extra speaker wires. Right, we're back in the car. I've plugged the harness in. I should have done it really before. So I've plugged that white harness in. Got all the original cables. I've just fed the DAB lead down through a little gap at the back there. I get to see it. Just that little bit of light there. Just a little bit of light. I was going to feed the GPS down there as well, and put the GPS on the windscreen, but there's plenty of space at the top there. With only being a narrow unit, we can just put the GPS up there. But the DAB aerial is going to go down through that hole, underneath, up and onto the window up there. The 2 USB leads that come with it have got different plugs. One's a 4-pin, one's a 6-pin. So really I'm not quite sure which one to use for the DAB aerial. So I'm taking it the 4-pin has less options, maybe doesn't do data transfer, that might just be for charging the phone. Whereas the 6-pin might do a little bit more. So I think I'll try the 6-pin with the DAB radio aerial. See how that goes. You don't need me to connect all the wires up, but basically it's just plug everything in. Simple plugs. They only go in one way. The handbrake off the harness, I'm actually just going to leave. This doesn't need a handbrake wire, so we'll just make that safe. I'll leave that one bare. So all I'll do is just plug everything in now, try it, everything works, we'll stick it all in. The GPS, take the back plastic off. Stick it right at the back there. Right out the way. Right in the middle. Tree on there. It's just stuck up on the back there. I'll have a quick go at making sure the reverse camera works, because it's not very clear on the wiring on that one. So, well, that's not good, the fact that it powers down and restarts every time I turn the car on. I'll have to change that. Why would that happen? Oh. It shouldn't do this every time, because it's connected up to the battery all the time, so it saves the memory. This shouldn't be happening. So I'm going to have a look at the wires again. Right, reverse. Nothing. So every time I try to start the car, the unit switches off and then restarts again. Now, I've done some voltage checks, and the volts go down to below 10 volts when the car's cranking over to start. It starts no problem, so I don't think there's a problem with the battery. But just to check, I linked up another good battery, started the car, and it still went down to 10 volts. And the unit restarted. So I really don't know what I'm going to do about that. There's nothing wrong with the battery. I even tested the volts at the battery itself in case there was a drop over the harness or something, but the actual battery voltage corresponded with the battery voltage on the wiring harness. So I'm stuck on that one. I really don't know what to do. Right, the reversing camera not working either. So I checked the voltage on the green and brown wire on the Evora harness, and that connects to the pink on the new unit. And when I put it into reverse, no volt still. So it's not getting a signal to change the screen. Now, when I run a new wire from a little battery, as soon as I put 12 volts onto the pink wire, the camera came on and there wasn't a problem. So the unit's working, it just needs a 12 volt signal. So if I'm going to keep this unit, I'm going to have to run a new wire all the way from the reversing lights to the pink wire on the new harness. So when the lights come on, it'll send 12 volts to the unit, it'll switch the screen over and the camera will be there. On the side note, the settings, there's some resolution settings in the factory settings menu. The original equipment Lotus camera has to be on NTS/PAL for a picture to show. The cheap aftermarket camera that was supplied with the head unit has to be on AHD 25 or nothing happens. I'm tempted to fit the cheap camera because it's actually a better picture than the original Lotus camera, but it's a bit of a mess about, so we'll keep that one and we'll just have to run a new wire. So watch this space. Okay, so we've got 4 problems. The first one, the Android Auto, I can't get to work, and when I read the instructions it actually says not compatible with Hawaii phones. I've got a Hawaii phone, so I'll have to see if someone with a Samsung can get it to work, or maybe an iPhone. So that one out of the way. DAB aerial was easily fixed in the end, and that was because the app that came with the unit, which is a normal DAB plus app, had to download a USB specific aerial called DAB Z, and that now works perfectly with the aerial up there. Had to pull this A-pillar trim off to feed the wires down. They go under there, and they go under, you might be able to see, and it's earthed just on there as well. And now I have plenty of channels to choose from on the DAB radio, so that's good. Reverse was the next problem, and I've done some testing. I've connected I bought some pink wire. If I feed that to a reverse signal, it'll switch the screen and put the reversing camera on. So I need to find somewhere to attach that to. My original plan was just to feed it back to the back of the boot and just tie it in with the reversing lamp. The fourth and the biggest problem is the fact that every time I start the car, the volts drop just enough for this unit to shut down completely, as if it wasn't connected to a battery at all. Obviously when the car is running, the volts come back up and this restarts, but it restarts from the very beginning. So it's an absolute pain. I have to go through all the Android setup and then all the apps have to come on. So I really need to do something about that. Asked on the forums and they came up with some good suggestions. One was to put a capacitor in the line, bit of a buffer in the voltage system, which is a good idea. But I've bought a little, well, I'm hoping it's a capacitor type of thing, voltage stabilizer, which I'll just put in line with the battery supply voltage, and hopefully it'll just keep the voltage up above 12 volts just long enough to keep this unit online. So we've finally got the reverse camera working. Took a bit of chew on. I'll quickly show you how I did it, and I might put the full thing on later on in the video, but for now, hit reverse button, reverse camera comes on. park, take the key out then. To simplify things, all I've done is I've ran a wire, a pink wire, all under the carpet, through the bulkheads. You just see it there, tied up done, comes through here and connects via what I hate at the moment, Scotch lock. I'll do that properly later, but for now, just a Scotch lock into this very thin green and brown wire. It's a very thin one with a very small stripe on it. You can probably see I actually did the wrong wire originally, so I've got to repair that. But that's it, it's now working. Obviously I ran my other cable through at the same time in case I wanted to change the camera to a aftermarket one, so that's all in place. So yeah, that's basically how I did it. I might put a link on how to do it later, the full thing, because it did take me quite a long while taking the race seats out and drilling holes and things. But that's it, it's all done for now. The fourth and the biggest problem is the fact that every time I start the car, the volts drop just enough for this unit to shut down completely, as if it wasn't connected to a battery at all. Obviously when the car is running, the volts come back up and this restarts, but it restarts from the very beginning. So it's an absolute pain. I have to go through all the Android setup and then all the apps have to come on. So I really need to do something about that. And I found this diagram online which says use what I thought was a 4,700 microfarad capacitor. So I ordered something as close as I could, which was 4,400. But when I revisited, I actually saw the extra zero, 47,000. So these are the ones that are supposed to work. But I've bought these. I'm going to try them first before I go to the trouble with them. And what I've done, I've just used a chocolate block arrangement. So it's very easy just to swap the capacitors out, unscrew the terminals, pull the capacitor out, put new ones in. I could even add another one on the end if I wanted to. So this is the setup, capacitors in parallel, bought the proper coloured wires, so it's a supply from the harness, supply to the unit, and the earth for the capacitors, little diode to make sure the power reserve in here doesn't go the wrong way. Stays in the capacitor. So that's what we're going to do. Try these first. To be honest, I don't think they're going to do much. These beauties, I'll probably just try one first, then try two if two doesn't work. So garage next. Okay, we're back in the car. We've got our temporary wiring setup with the two 4,400 microfarad capacitors. And now we'll try the car. Suspense is killing me. Oh yes! In beauty! It's worked. So two 4,400 microfarad capacitors have done the job. Well, I'm happy. That's it, I'm not going to put the big capacitors on anymore. This I'll either solder and heat shrink again. Oh, actually I might just mount that on a board. Oh, that's just me, the wires come out. Might just mount that on a board and yeah, put it underneath the dashboard out the way. Hope you found it all useful and you're happy as me that it actually works in the end. Give us a thumbs up please if you did find it useful, and don't forget to subscribe.